Good morning, I'm Brian Yacono. We are joining you with new information on that breaking news we've been tracking since last night from the Bangor International Airport. We have just confirmed in a report from the Federal Aviation Administration that 7 people died in that plane crash last night and that there was one survivor. I am looking now at the report from the FAA. It is now saying 1 member of the flight crew survived with serious injuries and that 7 passengers died. You're looking at an image of that plane. It landed upside down. You can see the wheels in the air. The description right now from the FAA in this report I'm reading says aircraft crashed under unknown circumstances on departure. Again, this was from the Bangor Airport last night. It goes on to say came to rest inverted and caught on fire in Bangor. Ryan Breton has been keeping an eye on what the conditions were like when this happened last night. Again, no specific connection to the weather related to that crash. However, we obviously know we were in the middle of the storm at the time.
And we're aware that there were commercial flights that were delayed or canceled from Bangor International Airport. If we can go to Weather 2, we'll show you a map of the area just to give you some context as to what the conditions were at the time of the crash. Bangor International Airport to the west of downtown. Of course, the runway is very large. In part, that's because of our proximity to the North Atlantic, being on the East Coast, and transatlantic travel. These are the conditions around 8 o'clock Sunday evening, which is the nearest observation to the time of the crash. Light snow was falling. We were about 2 hours into the snowfall in Bangor. It began around 6 o'clock. Temperature only 2 degrees, the wind coming from the northeast at about 10 miles per hour, and the visibility about 3/4 of a mile. That's light to perhaps moderate snow, but certainly not anything terribly heavy, and the visibility did drop later in the evening. So this was before the very heaviest of the snow began. Brian, looking at the map there, you see the wind out of the northeast. That would have been a bit of a crosswind, and planes usually prefer to try to take off into the wind
to get that lift.
Correct.
Right.
In this case, it was a crosswind, but not one that was terribly strong. And it's not like at the surface and just a few hundred feet there would have been a big difference in the wind in this case. It was pretty uniform through that lower layer of the atmosphere.
All right, helpful perspective as we're trying to figure out the details around this crash. Ryan, thank you. But again, the breaking information we just got from the FAA saying 7 people died in that plane crash at the Bangor International Airport last night. There was 1 survivor with serious injuries. We do know the plane was registered in Houston, still working right now to confirm who was on that flight, a total of 8 people. That is the breaking news at this hour. We have a reporter in Bangor. We will hear from them live starting on News Center Maine at noon. We'll see you there.